It's new. Welcome back to It's New. And we have Crystal back with us, but Morty is still not with us. But we also have Greg. So we're all good as long as we have Greg, because that's what Morty said
What?
yesterday. That's what Morty said on the YouTube channel. He
I don't know.
commented. I saw some likes. I don't know. That being said, Crystal, what are you going to talk about today?
Today, I'm going to talk about changes to Google Business Profile and chats and phone calls.
Cool. And Greg?
We've got conflicting studies about AI overviews and CTR.
That was a good one. And I'm going to talk a little about how sites are not coming up for their own site names in Google.
Okay, so as reported on Search Engine Roundtable, we have seen that Google has said that Google Business Profile, call history, and chat are going away. So they're removing it as of July the 31st, 2024. And they say that we acknowledge this may be difficult news, but added we occasionally have to make difficult decisions, which is a very grown-up thing to say. The kind of things your parents might tell you. But basically, they cited that there's been very low usage and that they want to prioritize higher impact features for merchants. And I think that in my experience that it has kind of been a little bit this way, like people don't always know, users don't always know exactly what it is. So I can see that perspective. But from a lead gen point of view and from someone who's managed clients who've been able to get some good leads from this, it kind of breaks my heart if I'm completely honest. And also from the call tracking point of view, it's tricky it adds another layer of responsibility in order to be able to track whether or not people have actually made a phone call into your Google Business Profile. They have said that you can download it, which is useful for sort of historical sort of data parity, but hopefully people will be able to find some new solutions to be able to track those phone calls into GBP.
Yeah, I thought it was like a privacy reason why they got rid of it. So I asked Judy Marvin at the liaison at Google, and she said, no, it's low usage relatively to everything else Google uses, I guess. But that kind of surprised me. But I don't think this affects the ad side. Local service ads probably gets all the data. They're happy. Right, Greg?
Yeah, I don't do a ton of local, to be honest. I know for a while they were really pushing the chat feature, and it was to me sort of an annoyance where not everybody is like able to, especially if you're a small business and you're hustling all over the place to respond to chats quick, and that's sort of what people want. So again, surprising on the call history. You would think that would be a huge like marketing win for them to show here's a list of the calls that are happening. And if there's one thing we learned yesterday, it's to implicitly trust Google in their rationale for things. So it can't be a privacy reason.
No. And as long as we just say Google says, and that's what Google said, is because of low usage, then we have to trust them because that's what Google says. Google said that. They said it.
Who wouldn't be looking at the call history from their Google GBP?
That's why I thought it was a privacy thing. And at least they said no, people just weren't using it. And I don't know if I believe that. I mean, I have to because Google said it. So
it's funny. The minute they took it away, people start complaining on X. People are using that. And also, why wouldn't you keep that going if it wasn't a privacy issue? It's a record of business you're driving to a company.
Yeah, everyone I know who manages a Google Business Profile is actively tracking how many calls they're getting in through Google Business Profile. It's a really valid metric and a really, really useful metric. So I'll be interested to see how it all pans out. I hope somebody else is coming up with a tool to help you manage that. We'll see.
We'll see. People are coming off their own data right now since Google's not giving us click-through rate data in Google Search Console. So I think Greg has a story on that.
Yeah, and Barry, I thought you had a great write-up over on Search Engine Roundtable about kind of two conflicting studies. Before I even get into this, these need to be taken with a gigantic grain of salt. Not even a little one, Barry, a gigantic one. I'll say why. So Ross Hudgens and the team over at Siege Media took a look at the click-through or the kind of traffic and click-through rates, pre AI overviews and post. And they also looked at it from sort of 43 different clients of theirs. And they've got, I'd say, a more B2B type vertical. And then Ross and Siege Media are like a content focused firm. They do some of the best content out there. So they are not out there digital PR, link building and stuff like that. They are making great content. So when you take a look at some of these numbers, just know They generate fantastic content. And I think that's something that we are seeing too, is like when you look at what's showing in the AI overviews, it's really content heavy, right? They have to get information and pull it from content. And it's less of, what you might see for some of the typical e-com stuff where it's a category page or a subcategory page. But overall, Ross had seen with all of their industries, 4.4% increase in traffic. Again, this is just from a Wednesday to Saturday pre-announcement, and then a Wednesday to Saturday post-announcement of AI overviews. And so the average click-through rate went up 3%, traffic went up 4%, and impressions were like 2% increase. So all good news. And then Kevin Indig over at growth-memo.com took a look at AI overviews from a health perspective. So you can see all the verticals over on Siege Media if you want, but Kevin kind of looked at health. So very different stuff. And Kevin found that there was fewer clicks that were being sent to cited URLs in the health side of things. And in a case where he was looking at, a domain received about 9% fewer clicks when cited in the AI overviews. So what does this mean? No, it's too early to tell, right? Like, I don't know, Barry, like it's good to see some of this information, but I would not jump to any kind of conclusions from it.
I agree. That's why I didn't share the original from Ross. I wanted to see something else, and then they said the opposite. And I think people are just citing these things so much, and the industry's talking about it. So I figured, like, I'll post both of them and show how nobody really knows what anything's going on, and Google won't share that information. So if Google doesn't tell us Google didn't tell us. Google said it'll be more clicks, so we have to believe them again. All right, fine. Ross is right. Kevin's wrong. Google said that we have more clicks.
No.
No,
we listened to our show yesterday, Barry. Were you here for that?
Google said. So that's it. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna keep trolling on that. Said Google.
I think one of the things that's interesting is that a lot of the data from the AI overviews is showing that a lot of the results, the links that they're showing are actually from much further down the SERP. So it's actually probably more likely that some of the things they're showing from are from people that people aren't familiar with, from brands or websites that people aren't as familiar with as they would be from the main sort of top 10 sort of search results. So maybe that might also be influencing why there's a lower click-through rate in some situations and not in others.
I mean, when you look at it, especially like e-com, you would have all these product category pages that would always like rank it, right? You'd look for something like Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, all these different sources. There's not a ton of content to grab from there. If you are trying to answer questions, you are going to pull stuff that is more content heavy, like Siege Media and Ross put out there. And we've seen it anecdotally as well. We push content, heavy content. Our stuff does really, really well in AI overviews. If you're out there and you're just building links, AI overviews are, and what are you going to do? You're going to build links to your product page and you think that it's going to magically get information you can put in AI overviews? It won't. What are we thinking, right? So I would just want to reiterate that Siege Media stuff is probably skewed to the fact they are a content company.
Sounds good. And next topic is we're talking about, I forgot what site names. Site names we're talking about because Google's Danny Sullivan said, again, after complaints about people searching for like a query and then their site name, not a site command, but a site name. So if I wrote, I wanted to find an article that John Mueller said about something on click-through rates or dwell time, and I search for CTR dwell time Search Engine Roundtable, Google might not rank Search Engine Roundtable in those results. It might show some other website, maybe like Search Engine Land. And people are like, why is it showing some other website when I specifically asked for Search Engine Roundtable? A specific site. And Danny Sullivan was like, you're right. We are horrible. We need to fix it. And he basically said, and let me quote, we've seen some reports where adding a site's name along with a query isn't surfacing content from the site as would be reasonably expected. And we're looking to improve things on that. And he also said that, like I said this last week as well. So Google will release some type of update at some point, according to Danny Sullivan, the search liaison, to fix that when you search for a site and not use a site command, but using the site name, that it should probably surface that content. So I don't know if you have been hearing complaints about that from anybody, but I've seen a lot of complaints about this online for the past few weeks.
I think it's something that I've seen really regularly where people aren't able to find their site name, generally speaking, certainly for searching and things. But I think that it would be useful for brands to be able to get that because it'll be good for Google because Google doesn't have to wait for people to research as well. So hopefully they will be able to address that It's trickier, I guess, when people have brand names that are kind of generic. But I think that will be valuable for brands and also more helpful for brands when we have more AI overviews. We had a webinar last night, and Anne Smarty was talking about branded AI overviews, and it's really useful to be able to see the brand first, at least when you're thinking about branded search. So as a user, certainly I think it would be great.
For sure. Very good. All right. So that's the news for today. You guys see you tomorrow, hopefully, and everyone have a great day. Thank you, Crystal and Greg. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.